Hey everybody, how you doing? Hope you're well on this great Friday night. On September 15th, the Port of Oakland issued a press release which, upon first glance, would seem to be rather innocent. But on second glance, it, to me, was interesting. And then on third glance, it was troubling. And I talked with a friend of mine who is connected to City Hall, I'll just say it that way, who agrees that this is a troubling bit of information. Now, what it is it's a news release that has the title Port of Oakland September Cargo Volume Dip Amid Shifting Trade Patterns. Year to date totals, this is a subtitle, remain steady as large ships boost operational efficiency. And it goes like this: the Port of Oakland handled 178,942 24 or 20-foot containers, or TEUs, in September of 2025. That's this year. That's a 6.6% decline year over year. In other words, between 2025 and 2024, and a 7% decline over August of 2025. Port of Oakland officials said the decrease in volume reflects market adjustments tied to tariff uncertainty and shifting global trade flows rather than the usual seasonal trends. So, look, why didn't the Port of Oakland simply use the title that I used, which basically is Port of Oakland September Cargo Volume Dip Due to Trump Tariffs? Because the next paragraph that I read basically spells out that we're not for the seemingly endless, nonsensical, I'll change it when I want to, and they're damaging for everybody tariff behavior, application behavior that the president has adopted. There wouldn't be this wild swing in cargo volume or any of the other resultant craziness in numbers that have come about because of the way Trump is using tariffs to do everything from silence talk regarding the Epstein files to claim he's gaining money for the country additionally, when many people believe it's for, the administration itself, which is not legal. So, but why not the port just simply state that this is about Trump tariffs? Why did the port decided to simply bury the lead? I have been around a while now, folks, and I can say I've never, ever seen a press release by the Port of Oakland that did that. If the Port of Oakland didn't want to mention politics, it didn't wade into it. But these times are unusual. And I know that past Port of Oakland communication directors would not have done this, especially since their bosses speak in, terms critical of what the Trump administration is doing to Oakland or other cities. So why stop at the Port of Oakland? Why? I'll read the rest of the release. It goes like this. Full imports totaled 75,716 20-foot container units, down 7.9% from September 2024, while full exports reached 60,123 total 20-foot container units, or TEUs, and that's a 2.2% decrease. Despite these short-term dips, the press release reads, overall trade flows remained balanced, supported by steady vessel calls and efficient terminal operations. And again, what does that mean, balanced? Balanced implies on the one side, on one instance, variables are high, on the other variables are low. Which are they? Would like to know that. Year to date through September, Oakland marine officials processed 1.7 million 20-foot container units, which is up 0.7% compared to the same period last year, according to the press release. Full imports rose 1.6%, and full exports were up 0.5%, reflecting stable performance amid tariff-related volatility in global markets. So here we go, mentioning the tariffs, right? The port recorded 82 vessel calls, the Port of Oakland, recorded 82 vessel calls in September, compared with 90 a year ago. However, average vessel utilization climbed to 2,193 20-foot units per call, up 1.8%, signaling continued deployment of large ships and operational efficiency across terminals. Quote, while trade patterns are shifting in response to global tariff uncertainty, Oakland continues to demonstrate stability and resilience, said Brian Brands, Port of Oakland Maritime Director. We're seeing large ships and steady year-to-date growth, which reflects the confidence carriers and cargo owners have in Oakland's long-term position as a key gateway for U.S. trade. Port officials said that the September slowdown reflects change in how cargo is moving through global supply chains. Some importers accelerated shipments earlier in the year to avoid potential tariff impacts, which reduced typical fall peak activity. On the export side, here's where we talk about the balancing. California's agricultural and refrigerated shippers continue to manage softer overseas demand and cost pressures tied to tariffs. That's another way of saying that basically overseas demand for California agriculture has been negatively impacted. There's less of it. And so the cost pressures on top of that don't make things great for the California's agriculture industry. Quote, yeah, my mom says Trump is really messing up. She's right. The Port of Oakland, it continues the press release, remains focused on long-term infrastructure investment and achieving our sustainability goals, says Port of Oakland Executive Director Christy McKinney. Even in months where global market conditions fluctuate, we're building the infrastructure and partnerships that ensure Oakland stays competitive and continues to serve our regional economy and support the nearly 100,000 jobs that the Port of Oakland creates. Despite these headwinds, the port continues to focus on efficiency improvements, environmental initiatives, and terminal investments that strengthen long-term competitiveness. And so, folks, those are the statistics, but it has to be noted also that all this comes under the cloud of Trump tariffs. And so, as I talked to my friend about earlier today, I think the Port of Oakland Board of Commissioners needs to have some discussion with its communications department regarding how it's going to address this going forward. If the tariffs are the issue, just simply say so in the headline. But to bury the lead, I think, with all things considered, is not the right thing to do. Subscribe to Zenny62 on YouTube. Let me know what you think, and bookmark ZennyReport.com and OaklandNewsOnline.com. That ends the stream.